Let's get right to it.
Yeah.
Bo Horvat leaves Vancouver, goes to the New York Islanders. I'll have you kind of describe the package because I think a lot of people were maybe underwhelmed. Maybe they're wrong to be underwhelmed. And I guess my over overarching question is we're a month out.
Yeah.
Could there not have been more value? Are they smart to deal him now? Just your thoughts on the timing and the return for Vancouver.
Yeah, I think the timing is really interesting because I had the same question. And I think a big motivating factor for the Canucks here was the idea of really having a clean break during this bye week and all-star break. And you think about the near constant drama that's surrounded this team since training camp, whether it was, Bruce Boudreau and his underwear flying on a flagpole outside of the arena for the bulk of the season, the complaints against the team off the ice, both in family court with Francesco Aquilini, their owner, and in the Human Rights Tribunal with one of their employees in Rachel Doherty, to the JT Miller drama and why did you sign this guy first? Bo Horvat has been waiting for a while. What's going to happen there? It's been one thing, the Ilya Mikheyev injury last year, playing on a torn ACL. It's been one thing after the other with this soap opera. And now to get a clean break, I think there's real value in that. But I think the question that I would ask is, would you have prolonged that drama for another 3 to 4 weeks to ensure a better return? Here's the bottom line. The Canucks and their GM and Patrick Allvin has made his bones in the scouting world. So clearly getting Atu Ratu, he's someone that, as a second round pick, they clearly are a big believer in. He's 20 years old, and so a nice future piece. They get that first round pick that's top 12 protected this year. Next year, if the pick doesn't convert, next year it slides and it's unprotected. So that certainly is something to look forward to from a Canucks perspective. They're going to be watching the Islanders closely. But when I talk to talent evaluators around the league, they size this up and say this is a limited upside deal for the Canucks. They say, when you look at Beauvillier and Ratu, they believe their ceiling is as third-line players. Clearly, the Canucks don't necessarily see it that way, but if it is 2 third-line players and a first-round pick, even in a good draft year, is that enough for Bo Horvat, who they also retain 25% on, to get for your captain who's had a 31-goal magical season? I kind of understand it more from the Islanders' perspective. You may not agree with it and think that the Islanders are a good team, but they're in a spot where they've got the goalie. They struggle to score goals, so they add one of the premier goal scorers this season, and he can clearly help on their power play. Obviously, an extension is coming. I was speaking to people with knowledge of Lou Lamoriello's perspective on the deal. This would not have happened if they did not have a strong sense that an extension would be possible and likely. So expect that in the coming hours and or days. And now the Islanders are thinking, hey, we're going to roll the dice here and see if we can get in the playoffs and make our team stronger.
Okay, so I mean, I kind of don't get it for both teams. Like, to your point on Vancouver, you probably could get a little more if you waited, and we don't really know how good this package is until we see where that pick is. If it's 12 next year or 13 this year, it could be number 1 next year. We don't know those things, so it's tough to evaluate that. That'll take time. Islanders, to me, are older than they want to be and not in the playoff position they want to be. If they extend him to the type of money it's going to take to sign Bo Horvat coming off this deal, this feels like a team that's already old, that's committing a lot of money to a guy into his mid-30s again. And they already have centers like Barzal, Nelson, Pajot, Cizikas. Like, they didn't need a center, did they?
No, I kind of thought they needed a winger to play with Barzal that could just put the puck in the net. Barzal, one of the premier playmakers in the game, has 1 assist in his last 12. The Islanders have, I think, scored more than 2 goals in a game one time in their last 11. Like, their offense has really struggled. And to your point, an older team that is not just older, but also has a ton of term committed. A lot of their guys aren't going anywhere. So if you plug in Bo Horvat, my expectation is going to be somewhere in the 8x8 neighborhood. That, you're essentially not just doubling down from your summer with very few moves, but now tripling down on this roster. And I think their big bet is not just on Horvat, but it's actually on Ilya Sorokin and net, thinking if we're able to get in, we've got the goalie that can carry us there and do the damage necessary in the playoffs. But the Islanders, it's been a full sell, mortgage the future. That's essentially where they're at, because they haven't picked in the first round since 2019. They're obviously not going to be picking there most likely this year. So they're in a spot where they're just absolutely banking on getting in and doing some damage, not just this year, but the next few. Clearly, Lou Lamoriello believes that this team is better than what it has shown to this point.